SpaceX Starlink's competition remains grounded. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside, that smokiness. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a technology day. We're gonna be talking about SpaceX Starlink and Project Bezos, Project Kuiper, and compare the two and what is going on with Project Bezos's baby. Is it actually ever going to get off the ground or not? And we're going to talk about it a little bit. According to what we're reading, this is once again delayed. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I talked to you guys about this probably about 3-4 months ago. I said, listen, there is absolutely no way in hell that Bezos is going to be able to get Project Kuiper off the ground in the retail public's hands by the end of this year. And he said, absolutely, we're going to do it. And they showed different prototypes and all the rest of the stuff. And the bottom line is once again, it is being delayed. And I want to talk to you guys about it a little bit today. I was reading an article many places, but one of them that stood out was one over there on PC Magazine. I'll read some of that to you. And I want to get your thoughts on this. I personally love competition, but ever since the beginning, I said, you know what? Jeff Bezos is just not the guy for it. Know what you're good at and do that. Right? You're not like a rocket scientist. You're not a mathematician. You're not an engineer, right? You created a used bookstore in your garage in 1994, and thank God it turned into something. Anyways, that's my personal opinion. So you know where I come from when I speak to you about this stuff. I'm not a fan of Bezos, to be completely honest with you. But either which way, I will tell you the truth and I'll let you know the facts and I'll let you decide. What do you think about this? I am a staunch proponent of competition. Competition leads to innovation instead of iteration. So I'd love to see Project Kuiper to actually make it. I just don't think it will. Anyways, before we get into this article, I want to say that if you have not downloaded any of my ebooks, consider doing so. They are free. Go to JCristina.com/books. Also, if you want to say thank you for all of my hard work on this channel, there is a little thank you button. You can click on that, give $1 or $2, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. Also, if you want more Starlink content, just Starlink. I put together over 300 videos now. I'll put a link right over here. Don't click on it yet. Click on that when you're done watching this video and you'll see a ton of helpful how-tos, tips, tricks, what to do, what not to do, how to do it, and most importantly, the why behind all of it. Because this channel has always been about the why. And if you enjoy this content, throw it a thumbs up. That will be very, very helpful. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you are, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Then click this little button over here so when I go live, when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately, like our lives on Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stop by. Anyways, let's get right into this article. And then once again, I want to hear from you down below in the comment area. Let's have a discussion. Even if you just put an emoji down there, at least I know you're listening. Do so. Anyways, the first production satellite of Amazon's rival Starlink, Project Kuiper, were originally supposed to launch in the first half of 2024, but the company has now confirmed it needs to push the launch date back to Q4. All right. We'll see what happens with that. In the blog post, Amazon said is preparing to ship its first completed production satellites to launch sites this summer, though it looks like the satellites won't fly until October at the earliest of this year.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying the proto-flight mission for Amazon's Project Kuiper.
Quote, we're targeting our first full-scale Kuiper mission for Q4 aboard the Atlas V rocket from ULA, or United Launch Alliance, the company wrote in this blog post. They've been using ULA even though they have contracts with Arianespace. They also have a contract with Blue Origin. Blue Origin is actually Jeff Bezos' space company. And neither Arianespace or Blue Origin, his own company, has ever put a single satellite into space for Project Kuiper. Not good. Not good at all. The delay also pushes back Amazon's plan to kick off beta trials for Project Kuiper, which were also slated to begin later this year for commercial customers. It ain't happening. Like I said in past videos, I said there's absolutely no way, zero, there is no way for Project Kuiper to actually get off the ground, no matter what Mr. Bezos says over there. It's just not possible to happen by the end of this year. And we did the math. We figured out how many satellites could be maximally launched at their current cadence, which is not good. And there's just no way to be able to do it. Absolutely no way. And this kind of just solidifies what I said once again months ago. The company tells PC Magazine that, quote, "We expect to begin offering demonstrations to enterprise customers by early 2025. So we're not going to give it to the commercial or a retail customer by the end of 2024, which is what they were going to do originally. Now we're looking into the beginning of 2025 to give it to a few select enterprise customers." Yeah. Quote, "We will continue to increase our rate of satellite production and development heading into 2025, and we remain on track." They've never been on track. "We remain on track to begin offering service to customers next year," the company added in a Thursday blog post. Amazon didn't explain what caused the delay. I could tell you what caused the delay. They don't have satellites, number one. Number two, they don't have rockets to put them up there. But it may be due to its launch partners. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. In 2022, Amazon announced it would use next generation rockets from ULA or United Launch Alliance, Arianespace, and Blue Origin to send up the majority of Kuiper's 3,236 satellite constellation. However, all three companies have faced their own struggles of getting their next generation rockets off the ground. Yes, like I said before, ULA is the only company that was able to put any satellites into orbit for Project Kuiper, right? ULA, that's it. And they put two like demonstration or prototype models into orbit. That happened last year. And since they already deorbited those two to prepare for the now production level satellites. It took you years to put those two up there. Why don't you just leave them there for a little bit, right? That it's okay. The hell are they doing? I'm telling you, this just doesn't make. They do stuff that's just so convoluted, such a mess. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, anyone outside seeing that would be like, "Look, it took you like 3 years, 4 years, whatever, to actually get these satellites into orbit. Why don't you like leave them up there for a minute or two, right? So you could keep on doing some tests or make some changes or whatever before you deorbit them." Yeah. Once again, Jeff Bezos is not a rocket scientist. He's a librarian. In the meantime, Amazon plans on using United Launch Alliance older Atlas V rockets to launch the first production satellites of Project Kuiper, but it faces a tight deadline. Now, I told you guys about this months and months ago. They have this extremely tight deadline. Maybe I'll get into it in this article. This deadline is an FCC deadline, which mandates a certain number of satellites to be put into orbit. Let's see if they get into it. The FCC requires, here we go. The FCC requires Amazon to launch half of its planned constellation for Project Kuiper by July 2026, although the company could try to request an extension. For Jeff Bezos, they'll probably give him an extension, but this is usually something that doesn't happen. They give you a deadline, and that is the deadline. If you don't make it, you got to reapply. Once again, money is everything, right? For the FCC, the FAA, all those three-letter organizations, right? It's all about the moolah. So, half. That means out of those 3,236 satellites, half of those, let's call it 1,600, right? 1,500 and change, 1,600 and change, need to be in orbit by July 2026. We're now July 1st of 2024. That's 24 months from now. They need to have, let's call it 1,600 satellites put into orbit. Does any of you guys think that that can happen without the help of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets? Any of you? And if you do, please let me know how that is to happen. Down below in the comments, I would love to hear. My personal opinion is they'll never ever be able to do 1,600 satellites in 24 months. Absolutely not. Do the math. You'll see the cadence there. Will they be able to produce that number of satellites in that period of time? Absolutely. Will they be able to get them on orbit? Absolutely not. That's my personal opinion. Unless Jeff Bezos makes that call to Elon Musk, say, hey, bud, listen, I need to get 1,600 satellites on orbit within 24 months. Is there anything that you could do for me? And Elon would be like, yeah, of course I could. But he won't do it, right? That's why Jeff Bezos was being sued by some of the investors. I said, listen, take the chip off your shoulder, ask Elon for some help, use some Falcon 9s, let's get some satellites on orbit instead of waiting on ULA to do it, which they finally ended up doing too, or Arianespace, or your own company that does nothing, Blue Origin. So what did he do? To appease some of those people that were suing him, he ended up putting in a contract with SpaceX to launch some satellites, but not right away, only if absolutely needed, right? Almost like a last ditch effort. He's going to put that out there as, yeah, we got a contract with them. We're not going to use them, but we do have a contract. Anyways, the article finalizes with this. Despite the setback, Amazon used Thursday's blog post to tout its progress in manufacturing of satellites at its facility in Kirkland, Washington. Quote, at peak capacity, the facility or the factory will enable Project Kuiper to build up to 5 satellites per day, the company wrote. To meet that rapid cadence, the team has invented new, more efficient ways to test hardware without compromising the reliability and safety of our spacecraft. So, 5 satellites per day. All right, 5 satellites per day. Let's do the math, right? Let's say there's 30 days per month times 24, right? Because that's how many months they have. That's 720 days. That's if they were working every single day times 5. They would end up with 3,600 satellites, the exact number that they need, right? So that makes sense that they would end up saying something like that. Now, will they be able to actually create 5 satellites per day? That is 7 days a week for 720 days. The answer to that is absolutely no, right? It sounds good. It works out. The math works out, right? Because that's what it needs to do. But even if that was the case, and they were able to create that 3,600, even though they need 32, let's call it 3,300. Even if that was the case, how do they get them on orbit? Because I can tell you right now, they're not going to use any of those Atlas 5s. That old school stuff is not going to happen. They need that reusability. They need those rockets to go up continuously. It's not like this. Not with Blue Origin. They haven't put a single one up there. Not with Arianespace. Not a single one up there. Only ULA. And they're using, once again, an Atlas 5. I don't get it. There is, once again, I'm going to make this prediction like I did months and months ago when I said that Project Kuiper will never go live by the end of 2024, which I ended up being right. Sometimes I'm right. Every once in a while. I'm wrong a lot too. You guys call me out on it. I appreciate that. But I'm going to say this right now, that there is no way that they're going to have any commercial use of Project Kuiper in 2025. Absolutely none. Will they have some possible enterprise commercial, like they're saying before, like business class? Will they have some of those with select few? Yes, they probably will. When they have maybe 50 satellites up there, I'm not joking, maybe 50, 60 satellites, they will put this like commercial and they'll be like, oh my God, we're providing it to a couple of these commercial companies to test out this amazing service. But you cannot go live with a system like that that's going to have a constellation of 3,200 satellites with 50, 60, 70 satellites. It's not going to happen, right? It will be spotty at best. It'll be absolutely horrible. Now, I wrote down a couple of facts here that I think is very interesting, and maybe you guys do too. I know I did. So the whole Project Bezos, right? I always call it Project Bozo, or, I do give this name to him as Jeff Bozo because he does some stupid ass sometimes. Anyways, that Project Bozo originally went live April of 2019. April. May 2019 is when SpaceX Starlink went live. The difference is in that period of time from the April or May of 2019 to now, the difference is kind of massive. Within 1 year and 6 months, SpaceX ended up having their Starlink commercially available 1 year and 6 months after. That's in 2020. Now, what did Project Bezos do? Absolutely nothing. They have never had a single customer use their service. Why? Because they only had 2 satellites on orbit. And those were just prototypes just to test out to see if the damn thing would even work. So within a year and 6 months, we have SpaceX Starlink now having service. Big difference. Now, if we look at the number of satellites, like I said, as of right now, we have Project Kuiper not having a single satellite on orbit. How many does Elon Musk's SpaceX Starlink have? About 6,100. Yes, 6,100 compared to 0. 6,100 compared to 0. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think competition is fantastic, but it's not with Project Bozo here. It's just simply not going to work. This Project Kuiper is said to have that 3,226 or 3,236 satellites. SpaceX Starlink is said to have 43,000 satellites by the time it expands or has this constellation full-fledged, let's call it. 3,000 compared to 43,000. There's a big difference, right, between the two. But once again, the difference is how many are up there. You have 0 for Jeff Bezos, and you have 6,100 for Elon Musk. It's just massive, right? So I don't understand where they're going with this. I really don't. You see, Jeff Bezos has always been like that. He looks at companies like, wow, I should do that. And he'll create a company that is similar to another company that's out there, and it fails. The only company that has really done anything for Jeff Bezos is Amazon. And that's it. And like I said, it started out as a bookstore out of his garage, and it exploded into this massive thing called Amazon. So I personally think he stumbled into this because I really don't view him as a very bright person. That's my personal opinion. Is he smarter than me? Maybe. I don't know. But he's not of an Elon Musk type of capacity up here between the ears, this wetware that sits in there. He's just not there, right? He thinks he is, but it's just not there. All right. So where do we end up with all this? Like I said from the very beginning, I want to see competition, but competition is not here. Do I believe competition is going to happen with Jeff Bezos' Project Kuiper in the next year? I don't. Do I think that it's going to happen in 2026? Not 2025. In 2026? Maybe. Do I think that he's going to be able to meet that deadline of 1,600 satellites on orbit within the next 24 months? Absolutely not. Not. Unless he took that chip off his shoulder and said, Elon, I need your help. And he won't do that until the very end. He's going to push this thing for a year, and he's going to try to get as many up there with those Atlas Vs that he can using ULA or United Launch Alliance. Possibly Arianespace might get a couple up there. They still haven't got any. And maybe his own space company, Blue Origin, will get a few satellites up there if they ever get off the ground. Who knows? But once again, I don't think that they're going to meet that deadline. And if they don't, they're going to have to ask for an extension. If not, they're going to have to pay up and then reapply and hope that it goes through. You know, the likelihood of this Project Kuiper to just simply fail and he pull out is very, very high. Now, will he do it even though it will fail? Probably not, because once again, that chip on his shoulder. So what do you think about Project Bozo, as I call it, Project Kuiper? Do you think that this is something that will go live in 2025? Do you think it will possibly go live in 2026? Do you think that they will meet the deadline? Do you think that they will ever have 3,200 satellites on orbit without the help of Elon Musk's SpaceX? I want to hear from you. Do you think that this will end up being competition for SpaceX down the road? And if so, how long down the road? In the comments below, let's hear what you think. And once again, if you don't want to write anything, that's fine. Put an emoji just so that I know you watched this video. Like I said before, if you found the video entertaining or if you liked the video, throw it a thumbs up. That will be awesome. Don't forget to subscribe. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools and all of my merch and tees and my book and shirts and all kinds of other stuff over at JCristina.com. Support me and my family. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, not through Project Kuiper. And we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.